I want to talk to you a little bit today about rejoicing in times of suffering or trials. This pandemic is definitely a time of trials and suffering. For some, it's just an inconvenience, but for many, it is a time of suffering. Some have lost loved ones, some have been very sick, some have lost jobs. Some people are having to work double time because they're working in hospitals or medical facilities and are around very sick people. So this is a really hard time for a lot of people. And so if you're like me, you're just praying every day, God, please let it end. Please let it end. Please let this come to an end. But James has a different take on trials and suffering. In chapter 1, verse 2 through 4, he says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." James didn't say, if you face trials. He said, when you face trials, consider it pure joy. If you're like me, you may be saying, that I can't do that. When I'm in the middle of something, when I'm struggling or suffering, I can't find joy in that. And it is something that we all have to work on, and we have to learn, and we have to pray and ask God to help us have joy in these situations. Peter said in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6, he said, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." So Peter says, when you're suffering in all kinds of trials, greatly rejoice. And that is so hard for us to do. Most of the time, we want to feel sorry for ourselves. We want to gripe and complain. We want to be mad. But James, as well as Peter, says, consider it pure joy and rejoice. James says later in his letter, in chapter 5, verse 10 and 11, he says, "Brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy." Job, the story of Job is in the Old Testament. Job was a very wealthy man. He had large herds, a lot of wealth, a large family, and he was an upright man. He loved God and served him. Well, Satan took notice of Job, and he said, well, of course he loves you and serves you. He has a very blessed life. He has all that he needs. Let me test Job and see if he is the same man that he was before. And God allowed that. And Job went through many, many trials. He lost his wealth. He lost his family, all his children. His friends gave him a hard time. His wife even was struggling, which I don't blame her. They were her children too that she lost. But even through all of that, all of the suffering, all of the loss, Job in chapter 13, verse 15, he said, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." I pray that that is what we can say in this time of trial or suffering, that we can say, even though I'm going through this, my hope is in God. My hope is in Christ. Back to chapter 1 of James, verse 12, he said, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." So whenever you find yourself in a place of trial, don't minimize it or don't try to rush through it, but thank God that you're going through that. And I know that's hard. And I say that, and I'm saying, God, that's hard for me. So you have to help me be able to do that. But thank God for what you're going through, and pray for endurance. Pray for perseverance. I know that seems backwards of what we should do in a trial or a painful time. But just ask God to help you through that time and to learn from it. We don't rejoice because bad things happen, but we rejoice because God will go through those things with us. So stand firm, persevere, and receive the crown of life that God has for us when we have stood the test. I love you, praying for you, look forward to seeing you soon.